Hello! Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a nice sunny weekend. I did. I'm a little bit sun-kissed. I've kind of gone from being a pasty milk bottle white person to a beetroot. So there we go, that's how I look so jolly today. Pleasure to have you here today, and we're on our second episode of New Norm in the Kitchen with ... Jade this week. So same format as a couple weeks ago. We've had a week off, haven't we? But we'll still be cooking. I'll be showing you how to make a cashew and spinach stew. But I've got the wonderful Jade with me today, who is a mentor, and she does these Sunday setup sessions, which are awesome. So we'll talk more about that later, but we're going to talk all about meal prepping and setting yourself up for the week ahead today, which is something that fits very neatly into all things meal prepping, but also something that I could definitely do with a hand with. So I attended one of our Sunday setup sessions last night, and it was really good. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. But yeah, we're going to make cashew and spinach stew tonight, so I'll go through all the ingredients and everything, and you can cook along with me as usual if you want to, or just take a note and watch back. You'll find the ingredients and the recipe and everything on my grid on Instagram, as well as in the Facebook event. So if you want to cook it later, it's all there for the taking. So I'm going to pass you over, introduce you to Jade to introduce herself, and then we'll get cooking. So, hi Jade.
Hi, I'm Jade. Thank you very much for having me along tonight, Norma. I was excited to be here and just a little bit nervous. As Norma said, I run Sunday night setup sessions, which run for an hour on a Sunday evening at 8 p.m, and I facilitate you through the process and guide you through so that you start the week on a Monday with more confidence, clarity and calmness.
Fabulous. So I did the Sunday setup last night, and I have a plan. I have a plan for the week ahead, and I've scheduled some time to do nothing as well, which is very important. So we'll get cracking and go through the ingredients so we can get the cashew and spinach stew on to cook, and then we'll chat a bit more about meal prepping and all that jazz. Right, so let's go into the ingredients. So this is a super easy recipe, and actually it's great because it uses loads of store-cupboard ingredients. There's not very much fresh veg in here, so it means that you can do it on one of those days when you've not got much in the fridge. So I've got 500 grams of chopped frozen spinach here. You can absolutely use fresh, but that's like a massive bag of spinach. So it's actually so handy, I find, to have one of the frozen bags of spinach. You can buy them in kilograms, 1 kilogram bag. And it's just so easy to have, drop a little chunk of spinach into a stew or something, and it's super easy. So we've got that. We've got 800 grams, how many are these? A kilogram of passata. I've gone budget here with just Tesco's own, because there's a lot of different flavours and stuff going in here. It doesn't really matter too much about getting a really rich, nice passata, but if you want to level that up, then by all means do. I'd probably recommend buying a nicer passata if it's like a rich tomatoey sauce, but for this, cheap and basic is good to go. We've also got 2 cans of cannellini beans. They're just drained and rinsed. Cannellini beans are perfect for this. They're sort of soft, but soft in a good size. You could also go butter beans. They're just a bit bigger and softer, or you could go haricot beans, which are a bit smaller and harder, or you could go black. You could really go any of the beans. But cannellini beans work wonderfully. You could also mix it up. If you've got a can of pinto beans and a can of black beans, then you can mix it up and have different beans in there as well. No problem. Cashew butter can be a little bit harder to find, but it's in most supermarkets now, actually. This one's just from Tesco. And it's a dream. Cashew butter is just so versatile in terms of for making sauces creamier. It's got quite a mild taste, but super tasty. So we need 100 grams of that. How many grams? We need 100 grams of cashew butter. Got a teaspoon of salt, 3 teaspoons of curry powder. If you don't have a pre-mixed curry powder, you could just use a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of garam masala, a teaspoon of cumin, and that'll kind of make you a curry powder. And then we've got 25 grams of cashews, which we're going to toast for topping off the top of the stew as well. I've also got 200 grams of whole grain rice here. And what I'd suggest is for the stew, you can pro it up or down depending on how many you're cooking for. But for the rice, I'd recommend you cook enough for kind of what you're eating tonight and maybe enough for another portion, whether that be with a stew or whether that be for prepping something for lunches, which I'll go on to in a bit. That's it. That's our ingredients. So, first things first, let's get that spinach into the pan. And we're just going to let that defrost/wilt. If you're using fresh spinach, that will obviously take a lot less time because you're just wilting versus defrosting. But yeah, if you're using the frozen stuff, it'll take a wee bit of time just to defrost and wilt. So we'll get that on the go. I've also just got a pan of water on here that I'm going to put onto. Come on. Need a little bit of cooker maintenance here. It needs a little bit of a friendly massage to get it to work. So a pan of water, and I'm just going to pop my rice in there and bring that to the boil and then reduce it to simmer. Some people, a lot of chefs out there, are a bit purist about how you cook rice and would say bring the water to a boil before you put the rice in and then gently simmer it, reduce off the water, and then you don't need to drain it and all that jazz, which is all very well and good, but when I'm cooking rice, I'm kind of just like, get the job done. And I can't really taste the difference for if you do that versus you just chuck it in a pan and cook it. So that's the approach I'm taking today. Right, so that's the bits that we need to get on the go. And the best thing about this recipe is you can just kind of do other things whilst things are happening. So whilst this is wilting and the water's coming to the boil, is a fab time to kind of prep other bits and bobs. So if you're doing a bit of meal prepping, then it's a fabulous, fabulous recipe for that because you've got time to kind of chop some veg for something else in the meantime. So that is wonderful. So we're just going to let that do its thing. And meanwhile, let's chat about meal prep. So I feel like people have asked me this in the past, and I feel like it's something I'd like to get your thoughts on as well, Jade. So people often say to me, so what's the difference? Because there seems to be a lot of interchangeable words between meal planning, meal prep, batch cooking. And I have to be honest, I actually throw them all around interchangeably. For me, I tend to say meal planning because for me, meal planning is basically planning your meals and cooking your meals not necessarily at the time you eat them. So basically making life easier for yourself by planning your meals in advance and then kind of reaping the rewards of that at a later date when you don't have time to cook. So meal prep, batch cooking, all that sort of stuff kind of falls into the same thing as meal planning. So I kind of feel like don't get caught up in trying to be the world's best meal prepper or meal planner or batch cooker or whatever it is. Just focus on the fact that what you're trying to do is make your life easier, whatever that looks like. So, Jade, tell me, what's your kind of thought on meal planning, prepping, batch cooking? What do you call it and what do you do?
Yeah, I think I call it meal planning too because it involves more than the cooking part. So when you do your meal plan, you also do your shopping list. So you're making other parts of your life easier alongside the actual cooking. And for me, it always makes the week go more smoothly because it's one less decision that I need to make on a day-to-day basis. I think the real benefits for me in terms of having a plan for what I'm eating and having previously done my shop or arranged for food to be delivered, it means that I don't need to decide on that day what I'm going to buy and what I'm going to cook. So, makes everything more straightforward. It saves me time, gives me more time to think about or do other things. But I'm definitely with you in terms of, I refer to it as meal planning, which covers all of that. So even the batch cooking. So I think for lunches, I tend to batch cook my lunch for during the week, and then I know it's taken care of and I'm eating something that's
and I think as well, it's not just it's not actually just the cooking, is it? Like meal planning isn't just the act of actually cooking, it's the actually thinking about it before you do it, which sounds ridiculous, but that's what I never used to do. I used to come home from work be ravenous and think, I can come home from work, be ravenous, open the fridge and think, I'd either be like, oh, there's lots here, I can whip something up quickly, or I'd shut the fridge and make some porridge. But yeah, it's like, for me, I actually don't cook an awful lot at all during the week. This is coming from Mrs. Cook a Lot here. But I will cook a lot at the weekends, and I actually really love cooking at the weekends because I have the time to do it. So I'll have a glass of wine, spend an afternoon, evening in the kitchen just cooking and having fun and actually enjoying cooking because I've got the time to do it. But I really don't actually like cooking in the evenings when I'm hungry, because that's when I cook. I cook odd things because I cook with just what's in the fridge, or I don't have, like that's when it kind of, I don't enjoy it and it feels like a chore versus something that I actually enjoy. And when you can start enjoying cooking, I feel like that's the real gem for me, if you can actually enjoy doing it by carving out the time to do it when you've got time and you want to do it. But so are you, Jade? Are you a avid meal prepper? Do you like cook? Do you have it all planned out to a T? You do your shopping list at the weekend and then you don't deviate from it at all? Are you quite militant with it, or are you a bit more kind of easygoing?
I'm militant in a way. So I plan my food for the week on a Thursday for a Monday, so that I can do my click and collect on a Friday, right, and get all my shopping in for the week.
I don't know why I would say like that. In my mind, I'm quite militant about Sunday being meal prep day, but that's totally just me, and that's just me being like really, really kind of funny about it. But that's interesting to know that you're a Thursday prepper.
Yeah, I would possibly prep if I'm cooking. I'd cook on a Sunday, or maybe a Monday if I've got time on a Monday to do it. But in terms of feeling really organised for the week, I do my planning for food on a Thursday and then collect my shop on a Friday, and have that plan. And I tend to, which probably sounds really boring, but have the same lunch throughout the week.
Yeah.
I like my dinners to be different. I like there to be variety there. So my lunches and dinners are all planned, with some flexibility, so I can change days, or if there's takeaway in there or any of that. I still have some freedom within it. And breakfast, I don't plan breakfast much. I'm not much of a breakfast
Do you
person.
eat breakfast, the same breakfast every day?
I don't always eat breakfast.
Get out of my kitchen. I'm all about breakfast. I never used to be, but I don't know, it was quite a few years ago now, but I just became an absolute porridge fiend, and now I just can't start the day. If I get to 9 o'clock without having had breakfast, I'm grumpy as hell.
I prepped some smoothie bags for breakfast a couple of weeks ago and put them into the freezer so that in the morning I could just pop them in the blender. So I made 5 for that week. I still have 4.
Oh really? Are you just not hungry in the morning then? Sorry.
No, I don't feel that hungry in the morning time until maybe around lunchtime.
Right, okay.
So I'll maybe have some yogurt or something in the morning if I feel like it.
Yeah.
Or strong coffee.
Hi Sandy, good to have you back. We haven't had you on with us for a while, or maybe you've been lurking in the background. What are you saying? Do you prepare all meals for 7 days on one day? Good question. I'll go first, then you answer. I don't. I would tend to do, I prep on a Sunday for like Monday to Wednesday basically, or as much as I can, or also do things like energy bars or stuff that can be put in the freezer. I'll do that on a Sunday, so I've kind of got a bulk of the week done. But then I'll also, and this is where my meal prep sometimes goes awry, because my plan is to always do an extra kind of top up during midweek, sort of around Wednesday or Thursday. And that's sometimes where my meal planning goes a little bit awry, because I don't always make enough time to do that. So that's sometimes when things go wrong, which is why I think it's really important not just to rely on making big batches of meals, but to also have some plans for like quick and easy stir fries and stuff like that. So what I tend to do is I'll prep the bulky stuff that takes a while to do on the Sunday, and then I'll eat through that Monday to Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, if I'm totally honest, there's probably a Deliveroo in there one night. And then one night I'll do like a quick and easy stir fry or something, or have bits in to have really kind of easy and quick stuff. So I'm kind of a bit of both actually. I don't prep it's too much to prep everything for 7 days in one go, I think personally, but don't know. What about you, Jade?
Yeah, no, I don't prep everything for 7 days. I tend to plan, so the planning part for me is probably the most important, and then I'll plan dinners that maybe take about 20 minutes, half an hour to cook, and then have a backup for nights if something comes up. So while I'm cooking one dinner, just say on a Monday night, if I know that I'm busy on the Tuesday evening, I'll cook Tuesdays on Monday alongside that.
Yeah.
I'll batch prepare my lunches, unless it's something really simple like a toastie or a wrap or something along those lines.
So interesting what you say actually about that you have the same thing for lunch every day. So when I first started when I worked very hard creating this new norm sensation. But when I worked in an office, I would cook soup. It was always soup on a Sunday night and cook enough for the whole week. Well, I cook enough for Monday to Wednesday, but I'd have one from the previous week that I'd bring out on Thursday, Friday, just because it's not fresh after 3 days, basically. But I would live off soup, or I'd have something from a cafe on Thursday, Friday, because it was like a treat. But I hated it. Like I loved soup, and I loved it on the first day, and it was fine on the second day. But by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was like, I'm not really feeling this. And that's from someone who adores soup. So I kind of sickened myself of meal planning or meal prepping as I saw it back then, because it was bloody boring. And I think that's the thing, like you need to make it work for you and not make it feel like it's a chore. You need to make it work in a way that you're excited for what you're going to eat that day, every day. You're not thinking, oh, it's leftovers today, it can absolutely be leftovers, but spice it up and so have it with rice one night, have it with veg another night, or have it as like a sauce or something else, like really mix it up so it's really different and you're actually thinking, oh, I'm excited to eat it this way, or you're always looking forward to what you're going to eat. Otherwise, that's when you get leftover food that you're not eating in the fridge because you're like, oh yeah, I've got that soup to eat. Oh. And then you end up going and getting something else or ordering something in. So I think for me, certainly, maybe I'm just too much of a, get bored easily, but I really like to make sure that you're kind of keeping it fresh throughout the week and not, like you can make meal planning can be super easy and you just really limit how much you're cooking. But I quite like to not limit the cooking too much, but keep it really nice and fresh and exciting. Right, my spinach is lovely wilted and defrosted and looking lovely. You could do that with fresh spinach, absolutely, but it's much easier with those chunks of frozen spinach. Now into that, I'm just going to put the passata. I've got 2 500 milliliter cartons of it here. Just chuck that in there. I'm like, squeeze every inch of it out. Hate waste here. And then we're also going to put in the salt and the curry powder and let all these flavours come together. You notice my rice, whilst we were chatting there, my rice came to the boil, so I've just reduced it to a simmer and it's hottering away there at the back. So although this is all kind of store cupboard essentials, basically, that you can keep in your store cupboard for God knows how long, because it's in cans and cartons and all the rest of it, we've got loads of goodness in here. So we've got the iron and the spinach, we've got all the antioxidants and vitamin C from the tomato, passata, and then we've got protein from the cannellini beans that are going to go in, and we've got copper and magnesium from the cashews, which is good for your bone health and your heart health, and so there's loads of goodness in here, even though it's all out the store cupboard, which I sometimes think when it's all from the store cupboard you think, oh, maybe it lacks colour or lacks fresh ingredients, but it doesn't mean it's not healthy. This is absolutely a good one on all counts in terms of it being easy to make as well as healthy and delicious. Right, this is the bit that you need to make sure you give enough time to melt properly. So we've got the cashew butter here, and I'm just going to put this in. Once we've stirred it all together, I'm going to put this in. And it seems like quite a lot, so we're putting in 100 grams of cashew butter. which seems like a lot. It is a lot. And I know it's like gold, costs the same as gold. Cashew butter is quite expensive. It's I think it's about $2.50 for that little jar, which isn't cheap. But this is going to make 4 very generous portions, probably easily stretched to 5. And you don't have to put this much cashew butter in. You could reduce it and put in less. But you'll see that it transforms it from being a kind of just another tomato stew to something that's really rich and creamy and delicious. So I'd recommend that you don't scrimp on it too much. So I'm just going to make sure I get every ounce of that off the spoon. Get that in the pan. I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. You don't want it to be bubbling away like it is there. You're going to get splats of tomato all over your cooker, which is pretty much what I do every time I make this stew. So just stir that in, give it a little while to come up to heat, because if you don't let all the cashew butter sort of melt into the sauce, you'll get chunks of, you know how butter can be quite lumpy or stick together. You'll get big chunks of nut butter, which for some is a dream if you find that in your stew, for the nut butter lovers out there. But it is quite nice when it's all kind of nicely melted through. And you can see just how that's changed colour from being a really vibrant tomatoey red to being a nice muted creamy colour. So I'm just going to, you don't need to continuously stir it, just make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom and go splat all over your cooker. I'm just going to let that melt in for a wee while before we add the cannellini beans. Super simple. Oh, so who have we got here? Alexis, I feel you. By Thursday, Friday, after a week of eating the same thing, I need to tell myself, it's just, yeah, it's exactly. You need to love it though. Like you need to actually really enjoy what you're eating. So I'm going to give you a wee suggestion of, if you are making this, I'm not doing it because I'm busy chatting away, but you can see that actually I'm not doing an awful lot here. It's a really easy meal to make. So I'm making enough rice here for 2 portions of the cashew and spinach stew, which we're going to eat tonight. And then there's going to be enough rice left for another 2 portions. So I roughly estimate about 50 grams of rice per portion. So what I'm going to do is take 2 of those portions of rice for dinner tonight, take the other 2 and rinse them under cold water, so cool that right down, and then pop that in a container and stick it in the fridge. And then see what other kind of salady bits that I've got. So what I've done in the past is maybe just shred some red cabbage, grate some carrot, chuck in some toasted cashew nuts, which reminds me, that's the other thing that should be on right now. Get a small frying pan and pop your cashew nuts in there on a low heat just to gently toast. I'm just going to do them dry, but you could also add a splash of oil and some curry powder in there as well, and that could give them a bit of a extra flavour. But we've got quite a lot of flavours going on.
Alexis is asking if you can substitute the nut butter.
Yeah,
for another nut.
Totally. I mean, you could do almond butter or peanut butter, and equally, if you do that, then I'd probably just change up your nuts on top to keep it consistent. But you could totally use any other nut butter. I quite like cashew because, for me, I think cashew butter doesn't have a very strong taste. Peanut butter has quite a peanutty taste, whereas cashew butter I think is really nice because it's quite a mild taste and just kind of gives you a bit of creaminess to it. Yeah, what I was going to say is, so if you cook extra rice, rinse that, cool it, stick it in the fridge, prep some veg. So I quite often will do shredded red cabbage, grate a carrot. I've always got a jar of jalapenos in the fridge, chop up some of them, stick that in a bowl as well. Some toasted cashews that we're doing here anyway. And another great thing I have for a bit of added protein to salads is I always have a bag of frozen edamame beans in the freezer. So they cost a bomb in Tesco and come in plastic. Whereas actually, if you go to the Chinese supermarket, you can pick up a pack of about 400 grams of edamame beans, flash boil them for like a minute, and then yeah, pop them in a salad. It's a really good way to get some extra protein. So if you just get some veg, or it could be anything in your fridge, whack that all in with the rice the next day. Make a quick dressing. I quite often do one with like peanut butter, soy sauce, maple syrup, some apple cider vinegar. Just blend that with some ginger or something. You can really make a really quick and easy sauce dressing for your salad, or make it even simpler. It could just be a balsamic dressing. And then for no extra time than what you've made dinner, you've got all these sort of components to make a really nice rice salad for lunch as well. So it's stuff like that that I think kind of makes it easy to mix it up and keep things fresh rather than having to have the same old thing, but actually you've not used any extra time to do it. So there's loads of ways you can kind of mix it up. Yeah, that was a bit of a waffle into my... And then, sorry, before I'll stop waffling, we'll go back to the point, but also if you make that dressing for the salad, you can also double that up, not only have it as dressing for your rice salad, but you could also use that as a stir-fry sauce. So like I say, on like Thursday, once you've run out of prepped stuff, you could just chop up some veggie quickly, make a quick stir-fry, flash boil some rice noodles or noodles, whatever ones you want, and then use the extra half of that sauce, and then you've got a beautiful stir-fry sauce to make something different as well. So it's just ways to kind of, things that you know you can do really easily to make your life a bit easier and tastier. Yum, yum, yum. So let me just put these cannellini beans in, and then we're pretty much good to go with the stew. So that's 2 cans of cannellini beans. We just need to stir them in now. I'm just going to swap my rings because my rice still needs a bit of cooking and the stew's going crazy here. I'm just going to put that onto a cooler ring and bring the rice into the middle to bring up to heat. Mix that through, and then basically all you need to happen is for that to, the cannellini beans to cook through. I'm just going to add a splash of water because it's looking quite thick. And then, excuse the retro whistling kettle there, to my pride and joy. Stir that through. And there we go. Now we're just waiting for the cashews to toast. Make sure you don't burn them. Keep them on a low heat. Gently toast them. Rice to boil. And there we have it. So Jade, tell us a bit more about the Sunday setup sessions.
Yeah, the food smells amazing.
It smells cashewy, doesn't it?
Yeah. It smells amazing. The Sunday setup sessions, as I said at the start, take place on a Sunday evening at 8 p.m. and I lead the group that's joining through some reflection on the previous week that's gone. So we reflect on the week and we release it and let it go so that we can move into the week ahead feeling more positive and calm. So we also look at planning and prioritising for the week, and that's the point where I ask you to identify some time in your diary for not doing anything or doing something that you like that doesn't necessarily have to have a purpose, alongside planning all of the things that you see as more important for the week ahead.
Yeah, that's what I kind of, when you said that last night, so I attended Jade's, one of her sessions last night, and when she said, have you scheduled some time to do nothing? I was like scanning my diary thinking, when am I going to do that? What a crazy suggestion. Of course I haven't. Why would I schedule that? Which is nuts, because of course I do nothing. I mean, I do nothing for more hours than I care to admit. But it's kind of stressful nothing because you're busy thinking and procrastinating about what you should be doing and not actually chilling out. So you never really get a break because you're always just like in a bit of a head spin with yourself. So yeah, I've put some time in my diary to do nothing this week, which I'm very excited about. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Jade.
That's all right. It's purposely creating time for yourself so that you can enjoy that period without feeling guilty for not doing anything, or your brain thinking of all the things you should be doing. So we plan and prepare for the week ahead, and we do some either guided visualization of how you want the week to go, or some questions about how you want to feel during the week, what you want your week to look like, and then set an intention for the week. So a lot of people, when I work with them, say that they want to be calmer, they want their week to go with more confidence and smoother, and they want to be calm in the week, but they fail to set aside time where they can create that calm. So our intention helps remind us that we need to purposely create what we want to achieve or what we want to be in our life. And then we finish with a guided relaxation meditation to let you relax into what's left of your Sunday evening.
What I really loved about it actually was, so I actually went through a phase a couple of weeks ago, and I say a phase because it was a phase. I had these grand intentions of basically doing setting my intentions every morning. I had this plan of I'd have a leisurely breakfast rather than just eating really quickly and then getting on to the next thing. I had this plan of having a leisurely breakfast and then setting my intentions and doing all the rest of it. And it was wonderful for the week that I did it, but it's really hard to make yourself do it. And that's what I really loved about your session last night, is like an hour that you actually do because you're like, oh, it's like a scheduled call. You know, you're actually going onto the Zoom call to spend this hour to do the Sunday setup session. But it's really lovely because Jade just kind of holds the space and asks these kind of questions to the group that makes you kind of challenge what you've put in your to-do list or what the intentions that you set, and challenge if you're being realistic with the time frames that you set for things as well. That's something that I thought was really interesting. She makes you kind of write down how long each task takes, and then you suddenly realize that your to-do list for Monday actually is going to take 12 hours, and you're like, oh shit. That's what I did anyway. And choking in a bit right there. But yeah, it was really good just to kind of hold that space for yourself and actually spend the time thinking about your own plan and kind of doing it but by just having you there, kind of asking the right questions and kind of pointing you in the right direction. I thought it was really, really useful.
Yeah, and the idea for it started last year in around October time, when I was doing some one-to-one mentoring with people, and they would say, I have these good intentions, and then I get to Monday and everything goes to shit and it just runs away from me. The week just runs away from me. I'm setting aside time for relaxing on a Sunday, but not able to sleep properly on a Sunday night because I'm worried about what's coming up on Monday.
Stressing about it, yeah.
And stressing about it. And then that can start to interfere with the rest of your weekend because it just gets closer and closer to starting a new week. So I looked at some ideas, and that's where Sunday setup came from, and used some of the methods that I had previously put together for myself. So creating what some people would call self-care, so whether that's meditation or journaling and routine, and also looking at the practicalities of what we need to do for the week ahead to feel calmer and more in control. And the visualization and affirmations just help to ground us a bit when things go out of control or become unexpected, and just taking a few moments to step back from it, remind yourself to breathe and to visit those intentions and the affirmations that you've set.
It is nuts though, because it's exactly the same thing, isn't it, in terms of just having a plan, seeing it through. And if you have, like, I'm relating it back to meal prepping, but it's the same thing. If you open the fridge and there's nothing there and you're like, blah, we've got so much to do and there's nothing to eat and I'm just gonna like not eat anything and then have low energy, and it just all kind of spirals downwards. Whereas if you're actually like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, it's cool, it's easy. You feel like you're achieving things. You feel like you're like, yeah, I'm nailing this because you just followed the plan. It makes it so much nicer.
Yeah, and well, last night when we looked at the to-do list, and that's the first time I've got the group to do that, to have a good look at their to-do list and to allocate a time next to it, so how long that item would take to do, and then look at your diary and find where you can fit it in, rather than having 12 hours worth of things that you don't have 12 hours in a day to do. I'll use the famous quote of, you have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce, but you don't necessarily have the nanny, the PA, all of the other support that goes with that.
Of the other support. Yeah. I know, but also it is it's good to force yourself to look at to figure out what you actually need to do, and if it's at the expense of sleeping, is that really worth it?
Never. Never worth it if it's at the expense of sleeping.
Right, we're cooked.
Great.
I'm going to serve it up and let you see how we're looking. So, how easy was that? I know we're chatting away throughout it all, but you probably noticed I didn't really do an awful lot of cooking, so it's a really easy one. And like I say, it's a great one for doing another meal preppy thing in the midst of all that. Like I say, I've got enough rice here, I'm going to keep some back and make a wee rice salad as well. But you could equally just like make some energy bars or something whilst you're waiting for it to cook. Right, today I'm just serving this with rice, super easy. But another way I would serve it is with some steamed greens, beautiful with like tender stem broccoli or asparagus, or some roast veg, really nice with that as well. Or you could have it like with a naan bread. It's cameraman's pet peeve. He's like shriveling in his skin there. A naan. Or some dal and have a double curry. So yeah, there's loads of ways that you can do it and loads of ways you can mix it up. I will keep a portion of this out. Well, we'll have 2 portions tonight. I'll keep a portion out for dinner another night this week. And then I'll probably freeze 2 portions so that I know that there's a lovely cashew and spinach stew for a time that I don't have time to cook. And then I'm just gonna top this off with some toasted cashews. They're, like I say, they're just dry toasted. You could put some curry powder in if you want to spice them up, but I just dry toasted them because they're going to go in my rice salad for lunchtime as well. So there we have it. Cashew and spinach stew, my friends. Will you pass me another fork, Alan, so we can both have a little taste? I've already put this one in my mouth, otherwise handed straight to you. But let's give it a go. This is the nerve-wracking thing with having a guest, you know. You've got to either pretend it's nice or...
Goodness.
Yeah, it's good. Tomatoey, cashew. The cashews make all the difference. It's like not super nutty, but just kind of creamy. Like it?
Yeah.
Are you a cashew fan?
I am. I am a cashew fan, and I am so relieved that I do like it because I would have had to do it. Yeah, it's beautiful though. It's lovely. It's really lovely.
Excellent. And yeah, it's nice and balanced. You've got your protein, you've got your sort of veggies and goodness from the spinach and tomatoes, and you've got your fats from the nut butter as well, and you've got your whole grains from the rice. So it's perfectly balanced, all out the store cupboard, quick, easy, delicious, bish bash bosh. Also available to buy on our delivered meals. So if you go onto newnorm.co.uk, you'll see all of our ready meals. So in the event that things don't quite go to plan in terms of meal prepping for the entire week, or actually I think this is kind of like similar to Jade's thought of actually look at the to-do list and prioritize what you can actually do. If realistically you've only got time to prep for 3 or 4 meals that week, then what are you actually going to eat for the other ones? Is it going to be a Deliveroo? Or do you want to stock your freezer with some delicious New Norm meals? I suggest the second. But yeah, so they're great if you don't have time to do meal prep. You know, if your freezers run bare of the stuff you've prepped for yourself, then you can stock up on some of our tasty meals. And it's a good way to try new things as well if you're kind of dabbling in plant-based but not entirely sure what your tastes are yet. So we deliver around Edinburgh, which is EH1 to EH20 on Friday, or we're also now going further afield and delivering to all of Central Scotland on Tuesday, which is EH20 and wider. So yeah, drop me a message if you've got any questions, or have a look on the website, and yeah, there we have it. How can people find you, Jade?
People can find me on my website, which is jaderebecamentoring.com, or on my Facebook page, which is the same name as the website, and also my Instagram, all the same name.
Easy.
Yeah.
Much more well thought through than mine that are all different versions of dot or underscore. We'll pop them in the comments of the video as well, so you've got an easy link to them. And that's it. Anyone else have any other questions, then put them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll love you and leave you. Thanks very much for joining us. And same time, same place, 8 o'clock on Facebook next week. And I'll be joined by the lovely Cara Redpath, who is a nutritional therapist. And she's going to be joining us, and I'm going to be picking her brains on omega-3. Because most things in the plant-based diet, I'm very quick to kind of pass off as, you can get all your nutrients from X, Y, and Z. But omega-3 is one that I am always a little bit unsure about as to if, with a plant-based diet, if you're actually getting enough of that through kind of various sources, seaweed being the one that I think is particularly good. So in that vein, we'll be cooking with seaweed again, which we've done before, but we're going to make vegan fish cakes with seaweed next week. So tune in if you're interested in nutrition, seaweed, or you just fancy some fish cakes. All right. Thanks very much for joining me, Jade.
Thank you. Can I come again next week?
Yeah. Come for dinner.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.